Alrighty, so my name is Elona Washington, and I am the founder and CEO of the Author's Journey. I've been in business, I don't know, a couple of years now. And today we're going to go over the reading habits of African American women. The agenda, we're going to have an introduction. I'm going to go over some key survey insights. I don't want to go over everything because then your eyes will just water and it'll get very, very dry and boring. And then we're going to hear from Lisa and James. They both have read over 100 books last year, and we need to ask them all the questions. And then we're going to go over a sample strategy of how you can take the data that I'm presenting and use it to align with your book marketing and with your trends so you can better target your audiences. And then we're going to hear from award-winning author Maisha Thompson about her own book marketing journey. And then we have some special offers as well. So who am I? So I am a Howard grad. I wanted to be a professor, but I ended up getting into marketing and I never left. I've been in corporate marketing for about 25 years. I left 2 years ago to start this. Altogether, I have about 10 years experience in indie and traditional publishing. I actually worked for a big five publisher. Ingram Spark last year added me to their pro publishing program. It's just an invite only program where I get a dedicated sales rep and all these other perks to help my business grow. And my company, The Author's Journey, is listed on the Ingram Sparks website under Book Marketing Expert Services. These are just some of the books that I published last year. You're going to hear from James. He's in this one. And this is Maisha's book that won the self-help award for the Regal Book Awards, I believe. And these are some other books that have been published, anthologies and self-published books. So with all of my marketing experience, it was weird. Back in 2016, when I released my memoir, I posted on Facebook that I like the book marketing aspect more than actually writing the book. And I divvied away from it. I've been focusing on people self-publishing their book or working with me and using my hybrid publishing services. But what I'm discovering, and it's no one's fault, it's just human nature, that marketing is like working out. So you get hyped for a minute and then you don't see results anymore. You get discouraged and you stop. Or you know you really want to write the book, but you didn't realize it actually took a lot of marketing to get sales. And so after posting on Amazon and having a couple of social media posts, you get discouraged and you stop marketing. So I'm learning after talking to and working with over 100 authors that marketing, like Cardi B says, is forever. It's a full-time job. And no matter how long ago you published your book, you still need to market it like it was published, like it was released yesterday. So now that I have been focusing more on working with authors and their book marketing strategies, I landed 2 clients this month. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the videos of Ernest Krim where he talks about Black history. He's releasing a book March 10th or 11th. I can't remember, but he's working with a different publisher. We're just working on marketing. And then Lisa Hurley is releasing her book. She is traditionally published, and we're working on the marketing piece. And like I said back in 2016, I love the marketing more than I love the publishing. So it's been a joy helping them with their launches. Let's see where I am. So back in 2014, the Pew Research Group stumbled upon the fact that the most likely person to read a book is a college educated Black woman. I saw this article, I guess around 2017, 2018, and then I just kept scouring the internet to find out if anybody did anything with this information. I was an author, I was working with other authors, and I was thinking, like, we would love to know what we're reading, why we're reading, the websites that they're on, that type of stuff, so we could better market our books. But I could not find anything. And so I said, you know what? I'll just do my own survey. So I did my first survey in 2018, and I had about 650 respondents. I did a survey for 2022. I jumped because of COVID in life. And then I came back and did it in 2022. And I had less than 200, but altogether, the data was still pretty valuable. So these next few slides, I'm going to go over the average percent of the total. I'm not going to say this age group wants this income level wants this, because it will take entirely too long. So I'll just do a quick overview for those 2 years. So in 2018, I had most of my respondents were between 35 years old and 54 years old. And I actually had a small percentage of people between 18 and 24. In 2022, I didn't have anyone respond between the ages of 18 and 24. And most of my respondents were, again, 35 to 54 years old. And then I have some represented for the other age groups as well. And then by income range, which I thought was important, because my hypothesis was the more money you make, the more you read. And that's actually not the case for Black women. So the largest income group for 2018 was between 50 and 74, 999, and then 75 to under 100,000. And it's about no $100,000 or more, 38% for 2022, and then 50 to about 80, and then 75 to about 100. And I actually use social media. Oh, I want to say this. I actually not only did social media, I would, if I was outside, I actually printed out the survey. And if I was in a hotel and I saw a Black woman, I would ask them to take the survey. So I didn't just use social media. If I saw a Black woman, I asked them to take the survey wherever I went for those 2 years. So overall, when we look at the favorite genres by age, in 2018, fiction was the winner, and then followed by biography, autobiography, romance, self-help. What I didn't realize, and I was wrong because I did a quiz on LinkedIn saying what's the most popular genre for Black women, and the overwhelming majority was self-help. I should have listened to them. And I said, no, y'all are wrong. It's fiction. But that was for 2018. For 2022, it's actually self-help. And I find this fascinating because fiction jumped down 4 spots. I know we're all authors and I'm sure we're all readers. Does anyone have any insight as to why maybe fiction got moved down and self-help came up?
I'm thinking maybe it just became a little less taboo. It wasn't, like pushed to the side as something that only certain people do, and more of us maybe started writing those types of books. But I think overall it was probably just less of a taboo.
I see what you're saying. So with our whole Black girls get therapy too, that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. James, you have your hand up?
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is the time span between there is something that happened is the pandemic, and a lot of people were retooling and reskill. They were gaining new skills so that they could adapt in the job market.
Okay. Lisa?
I would also say with the pandemic, and I think even um, the murder of George Floyd, like it released both of those released like um, sort of unrecognized, you know, challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, the people are, you know, trying to like more address that. So with the self help, so trying to like you know deal with what's really going on versus you know more going into a fictional world to escape it so much.
Yep. I was thinking George Floyd too. I think all of these answers pretty much tell the story. It's pretty fascinating. Especially now, especially after the election, how 92% of us are like, yeah, we're just gonna rest. That's pretty incredible. Okay, so for reasons for reading, I reduced the number of reading reasons in 2022 because I thought I was just doing too much in 2018. So it's not really a comparison, but just a look. And knowledge is the number one reason. Self-improvement is still number two. And then we had reducing stress and entertainment. I did not have reducing stress. So I would think it's pretty much still the same. The top three reasons are pretty much the same, which I also thought was fascinating. I love the fact that knowledge is our number one reason for reading. So I asked AI to do a cross analysis of 2018 age and income. And this is all a report. It's about 40 pages worth. And then I'll tell you guys how you can get it later on in the presentation. But overall, the middle-aged readers in higher income brackets reported buying and reading more annually. The older readers, higher incomes, showed a preference for fiction and historical books. I could see that, some sort of escaping. And the younger readers, which I thought was fascinating across all income levels, reported reading for self-improvement and knowledge. And for 2022, the middle-aged readers are about the same, consistently reported reading more books annually. The older readers said the top reading not cited knowledge as a top reason for reading, especially earning over 75K. And then the younger readers listed urban fiction and self-help as popular genres, regardless of income. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm in a lot of reading groups on Facebook, and the love and support for urban fiction is unmatched. I haven't read urban fiction since the 90s, but I'm also in an older age group, so that probably explains it. So next,
Hey, Ilana, is urban fiction the same as black lit?
um, what's what are some
When I
author
think,
examples when you say
yeah,
blacklit?
when I think black lit, I'm thinking about some of the things that when I told you I was going to start writing fiction, action, suspense, you know, kind of fits in some of those categories, but it had a black protagonist in the book
I
on the
think
fiction side.
I think when they talk about urban, we're
Mhm.
talking about like the street novels, you know?
Oh, I got you. Okay, so it is similar. Okay,
Yeah. So your book is about street life?
I
somewhat.
think it's because some of us have lived it and we're over it, so we don't need to we don't need to relive it. It's okay.
Okay, well said. And I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, one of mine I told you about was it has an element of street in it.
Okay. All right, now I want to know the backstory before we start writing the story. I need to know the details. Okay, so now we're going to hear from James and Lisa. So I did not know this, and what I'm finding as I like doom scroll TikTok is Black men love books, and they're reading just as voraciously as we are. I think James, you said you read 137 books.
Yeah, 130. It's funny since I shared that answer, I just finished 2 more books. So I'm up to 139 now, but yeah.
So, are you doing audio?
Yeah, I'm doing audio and ebooks primarily.
Okay. And what about you, Lisa?
So I don't keep a count, but I'm typically reading, 2 to 3 books a week. And,
Wow.
couple of weeks, I might, miss out, but then like I'll zoom through, 4 or 5 books. Now I typically am reading either print books or ebooks,
Mm,
never audio.
way to go.
Print and ebook. So you're not doing audio.
No.
Okay. All right. And so, of all the books that you're reading, where are you getting your book recommendations from?
Go ahead, Lisa.
So I like I follow certain series,
Yeah.
right? And so then I'm going to actively look out on either some kind of book uh like bookshop.org or some other kind of blog to keep up when the new book is coming out. I used to even keep a spreadsheet of this series. I
Yeah.
like that when the next date would come out with it. But if I see something in the library, um, sometimes on social media, but I'm not like book, book talk or anything like that, or book Instagram or anything like that. It's just more of somebody, like something randomly, then I'll see it on there with it. Uh, but I'll use like the Libby reading app from the library, and then now they have it, you can click and look up like similar. If you have liked one story, then you can click and they'll kind of suggest similar things as well.
Yeah, I have to agree with Lisa. For me, I follow certain authors, and from a narration perspective on the Audible side or audiobook side, I follow certain narrators because I like their style, and I'll find that they'll narrate for books in the genres that I like. So I'll get even like exploratory and start branching out over some of the authors that I'd never even heard of. But if that narrator is one of the ones that I like, I'll try it as well. So that's how I'm, to Lisa's point, I'll follow the authors, and they'll do recommendations. Hey, if you like this, you might like these. And so I'll branch out and try different books that way as well. But I do follow series, and I'll go like a lot like binge watching Netflix as an example. I'll get knee deep in a series, and that's how I'll hit those high numbers. Is I gotta go all the way through. If it's available, I want it.
So you guys are reading mostly fiction.
Well, like I mentioned, we talked about it. I just did the survey when you told us to prep, but I do self-help. I do uh, uh, leadership development. I'm doing a lot of history about our people, a lot of things that we're not taught in schools. So I'm constantly feeding the brain different things. But for relaxation, I'm doing fiction, primarily sci-fi, fantasy, or action, suspense, mystery thrillers. How about
So
you, Lisa?
Yeah. Oh,
no, go ahead, Lisa.
so I primarily fiction, but I do, I'll dabble a little bit in self-help and in business books. And like I'm a user experience, so definitely different topics than that. Then I'm gonna read uh books on that throughout the year. But like if I'm doing some kind of project or something that's coming up and I kind of need some deep knowledge in that, then I might, dip in and, read some books on that. Like writing my book and reading some books on book marketing, right? To
Mhm.
try to, figure that piece out. But typically like I'm reading cozy mysteries, a little rom-com, and yeah, it mostly those types of books.
I
Okay.
forgot she got a good point about business, like AI. A lot of times when I'm doing business books, I forget that those count too. I ain't even include that in my 139 because that's work. That's like I ain't even count that in my self-help either. Like AI, these are things I'm trying to do competitive advantage. I'm trying to stay on the front side just from with the work I do for my business. So that's a good point, Lisa. I forgot about those.
That
Okay,
is
so
reading.
so as a
That's
publisher,
reading, sir.
so as a publisher, given that you're looking at audio and you're following series, how important are things like the book cover and all of that stuff to you?
I think it's important up front, but once you align with the author, their style, and the series content itself, it becomes less important for me. What you think, Lisa?
Yeah, initially at first, I mean, if the cover looks, boring, I'm probably not going to, check it out. But, when I turn it over and I'm trying to, find out about the book, if, that sounds interesting with it, then yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, go with it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Becoming a published author last year with you and Brother Philip on Triumph in the Trenches, I have a newfound respect for the book art and the story on the back. I mean, it was intriguing, and in the book sale process, the story behind the cover is so powerful. Um, Again, I have a whole new respect for it, and I don't think enough authors tell this story of how they came up with it.
Thanks. I didn't even realize between the graphic designer finding those helium balloons and the story of the Civil War, I was like, I just can't believe it was more than a coincidence.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
yeah,
I see Philip shaking his head. We were floored. We was like, "Whoa."
yeah, that was God. That was all God. That had nothing to do with me. So Tana, Lisa, if you don't know the book that we're talking about, I think Philip has it on the background of his Zoom image. So we were releasing this anthology last year. I hired a guy off of Fiverr of all places. He was in Nigeria. I already had some ideas, and he was like, "It's not working. Can I just do my thing?" And so he did just regular happy birthday balloons. And I was like, what did he get from that? And then I said, okay, I'm not going to judge. And I'm just going to Google. And I said, do balloons have anything to do with Black history or something like that? And then I found the story of how they used those helium balloons for reconnaissance. So they would find out where people were in the trenches. And I was like, oh my God, this is all God. I had no idea. Yeah. So that's it.
You made a great comment there, James. I think there's a book in telling the story of the cover.
Oh my gosh, it really is.
That we have to consider that for the third of the anthology and the trilogy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. It's the trilogy.
I just got
Yeah.
goosebumps.
And see, like now I want to deep dive. Like, did Harriet Tubman know this? How does she fight against this? Like that type of
Ooh,
stuff. Yeah. So we're gonna
yeah,
look into that.
good
All right.
mindset. Mm.
So I want to ask, from the way you guys are talking, does social media have any play in how you discover or decide to read your books?
Oh, definitely. Um, I mean, I think of the way I found you, Ilana, even though you and I are local, that was a blessing in itself. But, through your partner at the time, I came across her books, Protecting Your Peace. And when we went into that book study club, she talked about getting into an anthology. I'm talking about Liz Leba, for those that don't know, Elizabeth Leba. And it was extremely powerful that brought us together to start even brainstorming what this would look like to write a book for Triumph in the Trenches. And so I think it's extremely powerful. And she was targeting ladies. And that's why, like, I think about the example here, how funny it is. When I first got this invitation from Ilana, I saw it said women's reading. I ain't even respond, you know, because I was like, this is for ladies who read,
I
and
texted him too. He
yeah,
didn't
she texted me
respond. I was
too.
like,
She sure did, and I was like, this is. I looked at it again. I'm like, she must have just, didn't realize that the one that she sent me was just for ladies, and there's another one later. I'll follow up with her, and life keeps lifing, and so I got busy. So she reached out again, and when I saw the post that said how many books you read, I didn't realize it was tied to this, so I just put in there how many, and she said, "Oh my," she said, "I've been sending you invites, you ain't respond yet." So she got on to him. I'm like, well, I'm actually available. I'm coming. So anyway,
what about
how
you,
about you,
Lisa?
Lisa? Mhm.
So for like business books, LinkedIn, especially people that I respect, and they'll put a list out of these books, or they're talking about, new books that are out, then definitely, getting sourcing from that. A little bit on Instagram, far as the fiction that I read.
Mhm.
Especially people I follow, and they might offer up of something, but I don't really follow like specifically book, influencers. So, so it just sort of hit and miss if I get that from Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, book clubs and mindset classes and things like that. They use social media for a lot of their weekly classes and groups to share lesson plans and things like that. So I'm seeing social media be the primary tool for connecting breakout groups or smaller group studies and things like that. So social media seems to be a good way to connect, for reading groups and things of that nature.
Okay. So my final question to the both of you. As a reader, what advice would you give authors trying to reach someone like you?
You want to go first, Lisa?
No, you.
Okay. So for me, it's be authentic. One of the things in this age of artificial intelligence, and I've talked to Ilana about this, is that there are actually people having AI write their books. Now, I don't mind using AI and Chat GBT or Black Chat GBT to help me do my research and help me, identify my perfect audience and things to that nature, things that would accelerate my ability to connect. But my writing is my own, and I'm real funny about that. And so when Ilana told me that you have to credit um, your work to AI if you have AI write your content, it aligned with my philosophy that I don't want to have to give credit for anything I write to anyone or anything, especially artificial intelligence. So I would rather an author be authentic. If an author is stealing somebody else's content, or like what you see so much across social media now or any other media channels, that's a big problem for me. So Lisa and I, we've been talking a lot about genres and a lot about our favorite authors, and there's a lot of similar themes out there across all these genres. But the last thing you want from a credibility perspective, especially people like me that read as an avid reader, is somebody just taking somebody else's content and slapping a new cover and a new author's name on it, and expecting to generate income for themselves, stealing somebody else's ideas. So that's just a big one for me.
Yep. And what about you, Lisa?
Uh, I think, you know, being able to share really with, and like going back to authenticity, you know, what your book is about and what makes it different. Like I like, some, if it's fiction, a little quirk in the characters. I like really good snappy dialogue. I want some humor. Let me know that. So like anywhere I'm seeing it, whether it's on you know, a library shelf, or if somebody's talking about it on Instagram or something like that, or you're on some kind of list, I want to get that out
Mm-hmm.
that's what the book is about, with it, so that that's going to attract me, because not all of the books are offering that, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, that's a
yeah.
good point, Lisa. Lisa's point made me think about something else along the lines of authenticity is it's the depth of characters, you know, especially in fiction. When you write about a character, and I'm giving a little bit away about the book I'm writing now called The Black Hole. None of us are any one thing, right? So having depth of character, and to Lisa's point, a little comedy, even if you have a dry sense of humor, you know, there are shows or comedians that I just adore, you know, like Curb Your Enthusiasm or Stephen Wright back in the day. Their delivery with their dryness, you know, it was genius back in the day, you know, for their delivery style. But they worked their humor and their style into it. So a lot of times authors, they'll have a shallow character in a book and it'll lose me. It'll lose me because they don't show the full roundness, like all the emotions we go through, as an example. You know, they'll have somebody that's like I mentioned, sci-fi fantasy, but they'll have somebody that's heroic but never experienced fear. So you're like, well, how'd they get so brave if they've never felt or came up against any type of challenge that made them test why they're so heroic? You know, nobody just comes out so courageous and never have a challenge that beat them down or whatever. So I'm with Lisa on that. The character development lends itself to authenticity too.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so the second half, we're gonna go back to the. Okay, Tana. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna go back to the presentation.
Okay.
And we're gonna get into what this actually looks like from an author perspective, like what you can do with all the data from these 2 years. So let's take this age group, 55 to 64, and you look at the number of books read. I mean, between 6 and 10 and 10 and more, they're both at 42.9, which is crazy. And then in 2022, it's 10 or more. So Black women are reading a lot of books, right? And so if you're writing a book and you know that your book is perfect for Black women between 65 and 64, you already know that they're reading. I have an audience. And then with this data, you can say, okay, they're reading for these reasons: knowledge, reducing stress, entertainment, self-improvement, critical thinking skills. That's helpful too, because all of this is going to frame your book description. It could even frame the content of your book, right? But your book description, your landing page, your social media posts, your ads, flyers when you do in-person events, it's going to impact everything. So let's say you're a nonfiction writer targeting Black women between the ages of 55 and 64. AI made up a book, The Queen's Gambit, A Black Woman's Journey Through Civil Rights History. And this is the book description. And they based the book off of the details from the survey. And then the other paragraph on the right: perfect for busy professionals who want to expand their knowledge while being thoroughly entertained. Each chapter ends with reflection questions to develop critical thinking skills and apply historical lessons to modern challenges. Read in short, powerful segments, ideal for readers who finish, okay, they did too much right here, who finish 6 to 10 books annually. Okay, I would take that out. But you get the idea. So a sample social media post, they give the image description here: leadership lessons from the hidden strategists of the civil rights movement. You want to sharpen your decision-making skills, learn game-changing historical tactics, build your strategic thinking toolbox, all while being captivated by an untold story. And then it's meet Sarah Mitchell, the queen of civil rights strategy, whose methods are still transforming leaders today. And it tells you what the Queen Gambit gives you. And it even has leadership frameworks, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a pretty good idea to do. But let's say you want to write a fiction book and you're thinking, okay, I can have frameworks and all that type of stuff in my fiction book, but you can certainly use this data to come up with it. They gave me a book titled The History Professor's Second Chance. And it's about Maya Washington. I don't know why they said Washington, but Maya Washington, done with dating during Black Wall Street or whatever, never expected to find love, and in walks the love of her life from several years ago. And the love story isn't just about second chances. It's about discovering the untold stories of Black excellence in 1920s Tulsa. So this is historical fiction. Learning to trust again while building a multi-million-dollar legacy, finding the courage to choose career and love, and growing through past mistakes. And this contemporary romance weaves historical insights. So it borders on the line of historical fiction with modern love, perfect for readers seeking an escape, rich historical details, smart, ambitious characters, which a lot of Black women are, and a story to satisfy you can finish in a weekend. And when I worked for the Big Five, we did that a lot. We would say quick read, beach read, things like that, because we knew people wanted to like delve into their book and kind of like read it in a day or read it in the weekend. And then to satisfy the whole discussion knowledge section, ChatGPT said includes a book club guide with discussion questions and historical facts about Black Wall Street, which would be so cool. And then a social media post. And I thought this was cute. When history meets romance, magic happens. And it tells us who Maya Washington is. Definitely not looking for love until her college sweetheart walks back into her lecture hall. And then it talks about what the book delivers: a smart and sexy romance, a Black Wall Street history story you never learned in school. And if you're on TikTok this past week, you know that Black women have invented Hillman Talk University, where professors and just experts are teaching free classes on TikTok to whoever wants to register. And I'm actually going to be teaching a course on Hillman Talk for book marketing. So if it has anything to do with history and learning, you know that we're there. And the perfect weekend escape. And then it's perfect for self-care reading routine, learning while being entertained, a luxurious mental break from work, which we all need, and book club discussions. And then it has a download the free Black Wall Street fact sheet with your pre-order, which is something that I encourage all of my authors to do, right? Offer something with your pre-order. James, you see your hand is raised.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so you said this is not a real book. This was created.
Yes.
I got to tell you how good this is, because I usually don't read romance books, but I would read this.
Yeah.
I actually would read this. This would crack my wife up, but I would read this. This drew me in, and I'm like, wow, very well done. I mean, like, that's impressive.
And that speaks to data. When you know who your target audience is and you can use those keywords to draw them in, you pique their interest and they buy your book.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who gonna write it?
I'm not gonna write. I think Maisha's gonna write it.
All right. Go, Maisha.
I agree, though, that the use of the data is impressive.
All
And
right.
I would read that book too.
Yeah. When it popped up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually similar to something that we released when I was at HarperCollins. Can you guys see me? Yes, I think you guys can see me. Give me 1 second. I want to show you something. I still have the books that I published in HarperCollins. Let me see if I can find it. So this author, Vanessa Miller, so she did a historical fiction book similar to that, but it was like 1960s Washington, D.C. And they owned like a Black-owned restaurant. And then the daughter of the restaurant owner fell in love with a young guy from D.C. politics. I don't know if he was a Senate person or if he was an assistant to the Senate, but it was a really good book. So when ChatGPT gave me that answer, it reminded me of Vanessa Miller. So next, we're going to talk to award-winning author Maisha Thompson. Maisha, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you so special?
Oh, well, that's a loaded question. I am a right now a resident of Phoenix, Arizona, but I am a born and raised Baltimore, Maryland girl. So a lot of that informs some of the things that I talk about in my book, but I am a um by trade, I am a digital marketer. I like to say I'm a digital OG. I remember when all this stuff happened. So one of my tests is, if you've ever used a card catalog, you're my people. So there's before card catalog and after card catalog people. So I am definitely, I remember when it switched. But I spent a lot of my career in marketing, but like Ilona, my initial love was writing and reading and teaching, and I thought I would be a journalist, but stumbled my way into digital marketing and fell in love with the intersection of, data, technology at the time, uh, psychology, sociology, all the things just kind of converged, and I just fell in love and never left. So I think, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, it had to be 2 years ago. I met Ilona at a conference. I decided to go to a business conference on my own across the country, really just kind of getting out of my own comfort zone as a super extrovert, and met Ilona on an app and in person, and her not being an extrovert, an introvert, I kind of get dragged along by people who are not. So,
I'm
but
an
when
introvert.
well, yes, but you do the extrovert thing a lot better than I do.
I do.
So
And that says a lot.
yes, it does. But when I mentioned to her that I wanted to write a book, and I actually had a folder, physical folder of ideas and outlines, and I pulled it out, and she told me about the author's journey and her business that she'd started, and I signed up immediately. And the reason I signed up was because even though I am a marketer and I am a writer by trade. I've done a lot of ghost writing over the years. You know, I could not get out of my own way with marketing. And I also wouldn't sit myself down to actually finish a book. So um, I had to put my money where my mouth was. And that's kind of how that worked. But it just ended up being so much more. It ended up being the support and the community that I did not know I needed, and the push that I didn't know I needed to get it across the finish line. So it's been amazing. I published in June of 2023, I believe it was May or June of 2023. So it's been about 6 months now.
Thank you. So, a lot of my assumptions have been disproven with this survey and with working with Maisha because and she knows what I'm about to say. I was like, oh, I got a client and she's a marketing expert. Oh, this is going to be fun. She's going to take off, but she did not.
I did not. No. I am the consummate shoemaker with no shoes. As I mentioned, I have been a ghost writer for many years, writing for lots of executives and for, business publications and websites without my name on it. So I had yet to put my name on anything, and I was very much comfortable with being behind the scenes and keeping it that way. Um, so as a marketer, I was used to, telling other people what to do, but was completely uncomfortable and unready to do it for myself. So I at least knew enough to hire someone to help me and to push me and who I could trust. So, that gets into the mindset stuff, but, having someone who I could trust to help me and to push me in something that I already knew, but I just and things that I didn't know, of course, when it came to the publishing side of it, but I definitely wholeheartedly am happy that I, engaged someone with the expertise to to make me keep moving. And I was not an easy client by any stretch of the imagination. Particularly when it came to the writing part. There were several, Sunday morning meltdowns and all the things that go along with writing your own book with your name on it.
So
So
I'm gonna tell y'all this was her mindset, and I actually used it with another writer that I'm working with. His first book, she started off, "Oh yes, this book, no, my book." Then it was this book. Then it was that damn book. So when she got to that damn book, she was like, "Look, I just want it done. Done is done."
that's it. That's it. And that is absolutely the journey. The love affair was over, but it was really an exercise in finishing. It was an exercise in getting out of my own way. My personal development book was a feat in personal development. So that is one thing I can say. And Ilona was such a huge part of that journey.
So would you say that your biggest fear about marketing was you um, knowing that you're not going to be behind the scenes, you would have to step out and do it?
Absolutely. That was one of the things. I also, just like I said, I'm a digital OG, but this whole social media thing for myself, forget about it. I mean, I just, my friends drag me kicking and screaming, to any of it. So just being out there was really hard for me, and it's still a challenge for me to do. But that was probably the biggest part of me. Is just the hardest part for me was putting myself out there in front. Also, just I think for me too, because I was writing about something so personal. But I approached it from a fairly academic standpoint as well, and just wondering if it was enough. I mean, I'm going to be vulnerable here, but it's, like, do I know enough? Am I qualified to write about something that I don't have official, training in? And, you were very good about, ma'am, you lived it. Like you lived it, you can write about it, you can market it, so that was a huge block for me that I really had to get through, was just feeling like I could talk about it and write about it with some authority, even though I lived it, and I did have all of the research and the background and all the things that I talk about, but it was just that kind of feeling of enoughness. I think at the end of the day, when I kind of, peel back all the other crazy that was on top of it, it was like, am I enough to put that out there into the world and be taken seriously?
Um, Thank you. I don't even know what question to ask you next. You're both so good. All right, so looking back, what marketing opportunity do you wish you had taken advantage of sooner?
All the ones you told me to. Like, um, I wish I would have done more pre-marketing. I wish I would have not been so in my head as I was writing. You were telling me to release things as I was writing, to share the journey of writing, to um, prime and build an audience as I was going along. And I did not do that. And if I were to do it again, I would let the veil down. I would do what you told me to do and what I have told people to do, which is bring people along, build the momentum. People want to see the mess now. It's all the polish, all the stuff that, was 10 years ago. It's no longer the case. Like, people want to see, as James mentioned, they want to see the authenticity. They want to see the process. They want to see themselves in you, right? So many people, like, whatever the percentage is of people who want to write a book, watching you do it is
Mhm.
is encouraging, it's inspiring. And it doesn't have to be all of the details, right? But just enough to let people know and to prime your audience. And it also gives you the insight as to what parts people are interested in as you're writing. You're not writing in a black hole. And one of the things that to help me with that Ilona did that was amazing is that she put together a beta reading group for me, because I wasn't part of an anthology. I was a solo writer. So she put together a small group of people to send my first, I think it was the intro and like maybe the first one or two chapters to. And I really built my confidence as I was going along. So, but that was kind of her thing of, okay, you're not going to do what I told you to do, so let me just do this, right? Like, if you're not going to, share the process and share it, share it out there to get that feedback that you need, then I'm going to do that. But that was probably the biggest thing. You just get ahead of yourself. You get ahead of the marketing curve when you share early and often and start building that audience while you're writing. Don't wait until the book is finished to build your audience, because it's a lot harder at that point, and you
I,
get a little bit more discouraged.
I love how you're saying this, and I have my authors on here who are releasing books. So I'm not saying it. I'm just, letting you say it.
Do what she says, I promise. Do it, do it, do it.
Yes, James, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat session, but Maisha, you're spot on. One of the things about having Alana and her marketing experiences, a lot of times, if you're not going with one of the big five publishers, you don't have a marketing department. You don't have, like, as an entrepreneur, like most of us are in one walk or another, we're wearing so many hats.
Yes.
And my marketing hat is tiny, right? and I'm telling you, it is tiny. It'll fit on an action figure.
Yeah, me
And
too. And
so,
I'm a marketer, so
yeah.
one of the
And
things that
so,
was good for me was to have someone tell me what to do, right?
yeah.
So even though I'm so, entrenched in creating the book and writing, I didn't want to take whatever energy I had
Mhm.
to even think about it, right? Because I wanted to be the author. I didn't want to be the, at that time, right? So just having that strategic mind right there with me as I walked through it was, even though I didn't do what I was supposed to all the time, and I'm telling y'all on here, do what she say. But, it was invaluable because, like you said, we are wearing so many hats. And the hat that I wanted to wear for once was author,
Yes.
just author, right? But you do have to give it, instead of doing the 80-20, you got to do the 20-80, right? So you do have to give it the 20
Mm,
while you're doing it. And that's definitely what I would do differently.
thank you.
You had mentioned not being in the anthology, and the reason why I focus on anthology so much is because, especially for new authors, is that community piece. Because writing is lonely. When I
100%.
released my memoir in 2016, I was already gung ho. I used all my marketing for that book, so different. And so this whole experience is teaching me not everyone is going to do it the way I did it. Even professional marketers aren't going to take off running like I did. Right. So honestly, it's not a bad thing. It's just a human nature thing, right? Because we always expect
Absolutely.
people to do things the way that we did. And
Yep.
so being a business person, I have to think about how I can solve that problem for my clients, right?
Yeah, no, being a community is huge. Like you built the community for me with the beta readers, right? Like you at least you were able to do that. You invited me to some of the anthology meetings and things like that. But yeah, definitely.
And so how did that go? Because I hear you're collabing with the anthologists.
I am. So we are working on putting together wellness events. So the first one will be here in Phoenix in April. But that just building that community. So the book for both of us was kind of like a jumping off point for our businesses. And that's another, I don't know if we're going to talk about that in this call, but really using the book to spur a business has been something that has been a goal of mine. And that's what she and I are doing. And we decided to Naoka and I decided to collaborate. So that's been amazing. Just like, even though I wasn't a part of the anthology, I'm part of the author's journey community. So I feel that because I'm invited to those things, and I've seen some
Right to
fruit
the
from those
cookout.
relationships.
As you so lovingly remind me, you are the Eve Jean. You
Yes, I'm
started
the
all of
Eve of
this.
the author's journey. I'm the
Yes.
first.
Yes. So all of this is because of Maisha.
Now that-
Not being able to get out of her own way. Yes.
So my last question to you, what advice would you give authors about investing in their marketing education?
Do it. The book writing is one thing, but I think so many of us write because we want to get it out to the broader audience. So getting that professional support so that you can not have to think about it so much, I think is important. Getting the education and being clear on your goals, right? So I was pretty clear that my goal was to use this to help build a business. So that was, apparent to me, and I was able to, let Ilona know that, and we were able to craft my marketing around that. But understanding what your goals are, getting the marketing know-how, really getting clear on understanding that it is a long game. That's the other thing, right? Like, don't get caught up in, quick sales. You're building an audience. You're building an audience like any podcast, like any, YouTube channel, like anything, you have to build your reader base. And that's why starting early while you're writing will help you kind of keep that momentum so that you have buyers and people who are engaged once you do publish. You get people excited about it along the way. And I would probably lastly say, it's not about you, right? Like, that was one of the things. If you want to write for yourself, write in your journal. If you want to write for yourself, write a blog, but if you're trying to sell something, think about what other people are going to get from it and not what you want to get from it. And that's what marketing is really about. It's about service. And whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction, whatever it is, it's about serving the person on the other end. So it is not about you, and be real clear about that in your marketing. And when you go into it with an idea of service, with an idea of impacting people, whether it's to entertain or to educate, I think you're way ahead of the curve, and it helps you get out of your head about being enough. You're able to say, I know that I'm gonna serve some people, and let me find out how I can do that the best way.
Yep. Thank you. That was perfect. Thank you, Maisha.
Welcome. Absolutely. Thank you. As I would not have gotten listen. It would have stayed at my book if it wasn't for you. It wouldn't have gotten to the damn book, just how it got published. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So guys, we're over our time. So I'm going to end this call, but I thank you all for joining me. But first I want to ask, does anyone have any questions, comments before we end?
No, this was excellent. Thank you all for being here. Great job, Maisha,
Thank you.
James, Lisa. Just really awesome points. Golden nuggets. Thank you.
Thank you for showing us how you use the data again. I'm always just really impressed by how we can use that in unexpected ways.
Yes, I forgot about that. So I'll be sending a follow-up email on how you can get the report. I know we're over time and a lot of people had to drop off because they had other engagements and it's late. So I didn't want to extend this out any longer. But thank you everybody for
Don't forget
joining
about
us.
the giveaways.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Giveaway. All righty.
And this is like a family reunion. So good to see so many of our people here, man. This is wonderful.
All right.
Yeah.
So I am thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Put a number in the chat and the closest person gets the $50 gift card. Five, four, three, two, one. The number actually, Lisa got it. It's 7.
Oh, way to go, Lisa.
Wonderful, thank you. That's my favorite number.
I love it.
I'm gonna write this down because I'm gonna forget. Alrighty, and so the next giveaway is a one-on-one book marketing consultation with me, and you can win more than once. So I am thinking of a number between 11 and 20. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Does anyone have the unlucky number 13? Did someone get 13?
Erica.
Erica did.
Oh, yay! Erica Robinson. Alrighty. So, Erica, send me a DM with your email address. And then I'll send you the link to schedule the call. And I know Lisa's gonna go shopping as soon as she gets this car.
She said, make it rain.
Right?
I got to books on my list, next up.
Erica
So
said
yeah.
she
There you
doesn't
go.
have a
There you
book,
go.
so raffle again. But Erica, if you're thinking about writing a book, maybe this might be a helpful call.
Yeah. Are you thinking about
Hey,
writing a
good
book,
point.
Erica? Oh, then yeah, you need the call.
And listen to what she says. And do it.
All right. Okay, guys, I will let you get back to your evenings. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Take
evening.
care, everyone. Nice
Take
to
care,
meet
everybody.
someone who I have not
Thank
met
you.
before.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.